Hello, good day, BSE 3 Math. So, for our today's lesson, we will discuss heuristic techniques. But before that, let us define what does heuristic means. So, when we say heuristic, it means that you are enabling yourself to learn or to discover something. So, now we will discuss what are these techniques that we can use in solving a problem. Heuristic techniques are not a formal problem-solving model as such, but it can be used as an approach to problem solving where solutions are not expected to produce a perfect or optimal solution. So when we say heuristic techniques, these are ways to approach solving a problem. These are mental shortcuts in thinking process of solving or problem solving. Solutions of heuristic techniques are not expected to be perfect, so there are some errors also. And then lastly, it aids to creative thinking when overcoming a problem. So heuristics are usually mental shortcuts that help with the thinking processes in problem solving. So we have either learned these techniques usually informally or they are hardwired for survival. So we often use them automatically to solve a problem. As I have said before, na we are making or we are using techniques or our own strategies in solving a problem without any guide, diba? But what we don't know is there are existing techniques or strategies like yung kay George Polya and this heuristic technique na somehow may similarity with the techniques that we are using. So relying only heuristics to solve a problem works well as a quick fix or when the alternative solution is impractical. It may cause too much trouble in the current environment or be a long-term project. So not all the heuristic method or not all the strategies can be used in all problem solving. Sabi ko nga, it depends on the problem solving that we are answering. So these are some examples of this. So first, we have our rule of thumb. So when we say a rule of thumb, it is broadly accurate guide or principle. It is based on experience or practice rather than theory. So more likely we are using the experiences that we had before. Let's say for example, this problem solving ay parang nasagutan ko na siya before. Siguro pwede kong gamitin yung strategy or technique na ginamit ko doon to answer this one. So it is more likely like that. And then the second one, we have an educated guess. So when we say educated guess, it is also known as a hypothesis. We are making a smart guess. So it is a guess that is based on knowledge and experience and therefore likely to be correct. So see, rule of thumb, most likely it is more on the experience side. And then see, educated guess, more on knowledge base together with the experience. That is why uh, there is a big probability that it is correct. Next, we have an intuitive judgment. So when we say intuitive judgment, it means that you are making a decision based of the subjective feelings that cannot be easily articulated and may not be fully conscious. So you are just making decision sa paggamit ng iyong judgment. So you are just perceiving it without rational thought. walang kahit anong pinagbabasihan. Okay? So I hope that is clear. And then next we have here the word stereotyping. When we say stereotyping, um, this means that you are fixed and oversimplified with an idea. So let's say for example, ito yung belief mo, ito yung idea mo, and then you are basing uh, all of the things that is happening around dahil dun sa pag-stereotype mo or kasi ayun lang yung idea mo. Parang close na close ka doon, ayun lang yung gagamitin mo. And then next we have profiling. When we say profiling, it means that you are making an outline of something. So let's say for example, you will make your own outline regarding of the problem that you are solving. And then lastly, we have the word common sense. So when we say common sense, it means that you are uh, you are using the judgment and the experience rather than the knowledge that you have. Let's say for example, parang ano na siya, obvious. So that is the correct word. When something is obvious, parang you processing in your mind na meron na talagang sagot. And you are looking for a clue. And then, kung nakita mo yung clue, you are just using your common sense. Okay? So again, remember this, some of the examples of heuristics. So don't you worry, I will be uploading the PowerPoint presentation maybe on Thursday. Okay? Next. So when we say heuristic, it can be used as a part of creative problem solving, but you should only use one of the ways to generate ideas to overcome the barrier. So now let us have uh, more definition of heuristic techniques of problem solving. So heuristics are actually physiological concepts for simple, efficient rules. So that help to explain how people solve problems. These rules usually these rules usually work but are prone to preconceptions and can introduce errors. As what I am saying, it depends. The strategies and techniques that you're going to use depends on the problem solving that you are answering. So for example, an educated guess. It is based on knowledge and experience that you had before, but it excludes what you have yet to learn, right? So more likely you are playing on the previous part, not on the present. So heuristics do not aim for novel solutions, but to implement the known, readily accessible, loosely applicable. It essentially limits problem solving in human beings to focus on the immediately doable. Parang ito na kasi parang ano tayo dito, uh, ito yung mas madali. That is why you are going to use that. So it often uses trial and error to find a solution that works. Now, here are few other commonly used heuristics from George Polya's 1945 book, How to Solve It. So first, if you're having difficulty understanding a problem, try drawing a picture. Okay, so let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, you will answer a problem solving of angle of depression and angle of elevation. And then you are having times to picture out what does the angle looks like, what is the height of a certain tree of a certain building. So for you to easily answer that kind of problem, it is better to draw a picture. So you are making an outline of something para ma-picture out mo, ganito pala yung itsura nito. That the thing is that it will become more realistic, right? So next, if you can find the solution, try assuming that you have a solution and seeing what you can derive from that. So you are working backward. Let's say for example, hindi ko talaga siya makuha. Let's say and then multiple chances siya. So most likely kapag multiple chances, we are working backward. Next, if the problem is abstract, try examining a concrete example. And then last, try solving a more general problem first. So this is what we call what do you call that one? The inventor's paradox. So you are doing like the harder problem solving, and then kapag nasagutan mo yon, after all of that, you will be successful in answering the problem that you are actually solving. Like the more ambitious plan may have, more chances of success, like that. So heuristic techniques are ideal as a quick fix. It it can help our problem solving to become easier, to uh, to become faster, ganon. But it can also introduce error bias and may constrain creativity. Sabi ko nga kanina, if we are using this kind of techniques, most likely we are losing our creativity and innovation. Like formal method problem solvers should always be aware of relying heavily on one or more heuristics because it can introduce error, bias, and it can lose your creativity, your critical thinking skills. Now, we will talk about Jonathan Bentor's toolkit approach. So, Jonathan Bentor is a graduate of Stanford University, and he developed a toolkit approach using some core heuristics. So, it is a very loose way of using a set of heuristics to solve a problem. So, the idea is that problem solvers mix and match the cognitive shortcuts to discover their solution. So first we have the composition. So you are going to start small and break the overarching problem into smaller pieces. So let's say for example the data given was too big, and then you are going to start small, and then after that followed by another small hanggang sa matapos na yung mga smaller pieces, and then makikita mo na lang that you already solved that one. Like you are going to solve that problem step by step. Next, search. You are learning experience. Look for known and similar solutions and adapt them. Again, you are um, you are basing on the experience. Like, parang na-solve ko na to dati. And then seriality, getting from A to B. Make one small change first, then move on to the next. So, parang you are making a process in solving a problem. Like, you are you're solving the easier part, after that yung hard na. Kasi parang process talaga tong pagsosolve ng problem eh. And then multiple minds. Many hands make light work. Don't work on a problem alone. Find out what others think and use them as resources. So this is actually like pagtutulungan. Kasi nga, sabi nga nung sa island, so two heads are better than one. But hindi sinabi dito na kokopya ka or you will copy the solution that your colleague has. So you are going to use what are they thinking as your resources to solve a certain problem. Next, imitation. Don't reinvent the wheel. find out what other organizations are doing and copy them. So you are imitating dito. And then lastly, we have recombination. You are mixing and matching. So combine a number of different ideas to create a solution. So parang nagsisurvey ka. Parang sabi nga, naalala ko dati, if we don't get a solution for a certain problem, all of my classmates are actually doing survey. What is your solution? May I see? Kasi I will just get the idea and then after that, pupunta dun sa kabila, kukunin din yung idea. And let's say for example, you already have five ideas. So you're going to combine it so that you can make your own solution. So using these heuristic elements is not bound to being a linear or cyclical process. They can be used in any order and as many times for different purposes as needed. So again, it depends on the problem solving. Not every element needs to be used for every problem as shown. Okay? So you, now for the closing part again, heuristic techniques are not a formal problem solving method. They can be used alone or in combination with other heuristics. The theory of heuristics is complex, but are essentially the cliches of problem solving. It is very complex to use different strategies, but actually, after quite some time, you will find out and realize that these techniques are really helpful during your school years. So they do not seek to find a final solution, although they may do. They are often a process of trial and error. If a rule of thumb fails, you may then use experience to try a different solution. And if that fails, you may bring in multiple minds to help you to solve it, and then so on and so forth. So the advantage of heuristics is that they can rapidly solve a problem, but it may often result in an immediate but temporary fix. Heuristics are prone to bias and introducing errors, kagaya nga ng sabi ko kanina. And then they should be used with care and as a trigger for formal problem solving to develop a better and longer term solution. So let's say, for example, during your high school days, you found out that this kind of strategy is very useful. So it may be helpful for you up until the time that you are already teaching. Like what I am doing. Kasi the strategies and techniques that I am using right now, ay nagmula pa siya talaga dati when I was in elementary. So natutunan ko siya with my uh, proctor sa MTAP. And up until now, it is very useful. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Now let's talk about some of the key points. So heuristics are usually mental shortcuts that help with the thinking processes and problem solving. They include using a rule of thumb, an educated guess, an intuitive judgment, stereotyping, profiling, and common sense. Heuristics do not aim for novel solutions but to implement the unknown, readily accessible, and loosely applicable. The advantage of heuristics is that they can rapidly solve a problem, but it may often result in an immediate but temporary fix as they are prone to bias. Heuristics should be used with care and as a trigger of formal problem solving to develop a better and longer term. So that would be all for the discussion, and I hope that everything is clear. If you have any questions, you can contact your class president, Mr. Nieva, and then he will forward me all your concerns and your questions. So just a reminder for activity number 2 and number 3. Activity number 2, the submission day will be today up until 11:59 p.m. You will send your PowerPoint presentation on my um, Gmail account, that is Zyril.matcha at cvsu.edu.ph. So we kindly name your PowerPoint presentation with your surname. Let's say, for example, De La Cruz underscore BSEM 35. Ganyan na lang. Yung uh, name ng inyong file. And then, for activity number 3, the video, di ba, I ask you to make a video explaining all the strategies that you are using when you are solving a problem. And then, after that, you can give some problem solving examples, and then you will use the strategies and techniques that you are using. Okay, and then the submission date for that will be on October 12, 2020. And also, quiz number 2, I will post it on our learning management system. I hope that everyone has their access on our CVSU LMS. I will post it later, and you can answer it up until tomorrow, 11:59 p.m. You can already get your scores right away. Okay, so I hope that everyone is doing well, and always keep safe, always stay at home, and never forget to pray. Ayan. Okay, so thank you very much for listening, and I hope that you learned something today. Have a good day and always keep safe. Goodbye, class.